It's what's on the inside that counts, and this time that means an LS3. What's going on, everyone? Back with the Project IJ, and I have been busy. It may not look like it on the outside, but there has been a lot of hours that have been put into this quick project. Obviously, things keep escalating, but like I mentioned, a lot has been done, and this truck currently runs on its own. It will move forward and backwards. I lost my drag link, so I need to replace that. But beyond that, the servo still functions. Everything is operational, and I'm pretty excited about that. But getting it running wasn't the main task or objective. It was just kind of a side effect. What I really wanted to accomplish was utilizing space a little differently than the Project IJ normally does. Now, this is the Project IJ, the body set, the printed body set from Imagine, where you can put this on top of a number of different platforms. And I've chosen the VS410, as you've seen in the previous 4 or 5 episodes at this point. But what I decided to do is that since I'm running the H10 axles, and the H10 axle has the servo on the axle here, and that servo goes up in between the frame rails and it moves around as the suspension travels. Well, as the Project IJ is normally done, you use the under the hood area to store all of your electronics, your ESC, receiver, light controller, your battery even. That's where it all goes. But with the H10 axles and that servo up there, it takes up some of that real estate anyway. So I decided that I wanted this thing to be, I wanted to take it to a next step, a next level. And rather than just utilizing that under hood area for those purposes, I wanted to design up an engine bay that had something that looked realistic. And I decided to build this LS3 V8 that covers up where the servo is and it fills it out, making it look like this cool, proper engine bay underneath of the hood. And I think that was accomplished pretty well. Now, as I mentioned, that servo comes up and it moves around. So I needed to add a lot of clearance to make sure that that thing, could move around unhindered, with the aesthetic of the engine on top. And it took me a little bit of effort to do that and a few rounds of prototyping. This was my first option. You can see this large cutout in the V8 there for the servo itself, as well as some wires. My first attempt, I ended up having to take a saw to and just create a little bit more space to figure out how much I needed to adjust. At the same time, this is also a spur and pinion cover, so that it does have some functionality at the same time. I don't have to worry about wires getting sucked in anywhere. But after my first attempt, I made some more modifications, got a little bit closer. I did want to make a couple of extra modifications beyond this one just to change the style up a little bit. I wanted more of an oil pan than just stopping at the rear of the sump. So in my last version of it, which I have here, the oil pan goes all the way to the front. It's just shallow up there. But it has all come out really well, and I was able to incorporate the intake itself with a filter element, all of these things, and I'm pretty happy with how that came about. Now, the engine itself was something that I wanted to do, but it was actually a side effect yet of another project, and that is some fabricated front shock hoops. Now, they're not in here yet. I have them designed, but like the rest of these projects, I need to send some things to send, cut, send, and wait for those to come back. And I haven't done that yet on the front shock mount area. So I've got the design done, and now that I've got the engine completed, the design is done, I can make sure that my clearances are good. I can send those files off to be laser cut. I'm happy with that part of the project, but there's of course more to do still. Now, in the last couple of episodes, I had talked about my plan to do a front bumper, and I had 3D printed a test version of the design already to double check that everything was going to work. And since then, I have got those laser cut parts back from Send Cut Send, and I came up with a new jig to hold them all together, which was a little bit different than jigs that I've used in the past. This one, I had long leaders that came off of each piece so that I could move those mounting points further away from the steel pieces themselves, so that when I was TIG welding, I wasn't heat soaking into the fixture as quickly, and just trying to give myself also some room, because with a bumper itself, if you tried to pack everything together, you'd be very tight together. And that's something that I've suffered in the past with when trying to do bumper with 3D printed fixtures. But this new method actually worked really well. I was able to get the parts, get them all mounted up in place, have everything held together right where it should be, and then I just added some tacks everywhere so that I could make sure the parts weren't going to actually come apart when I removed it from the fixture. Then once I removed it from the fixture, I just went through and I welded all of the seams along the entire bumper to get everything filled in. I didn't worry too much about making it super pretty while doing that. I just wanted to make sure that I had filler in all of those seams. And then from there, it was just a matter of sanding and grinding down, which only took 10, 15 minutes or so. The whole bumper project probably took less than 45 minutes, which for a bumper that was exactly to a design that I wanted and had facets and angles and features and details, cross braces, all of those things, that's pretty good. It worked exactly like I hoped, which this was a new method and I wasn't sure that that was going to be the case, but I've got it mounted now in the chassis. It itself functions as a cross member to the chassis. It goes on the inside of the frame rails, and then you screw into the tapped inner extensions of the bumper. And it feels so nice and secure now. I'm super happy with that. Of course, it needs paint and all of that, but now it's on there, and I couldn't be happier. It's just those little things with this project that have been so satisfying to tackle. Getting back to the engine bay though, as I mentioned, this is a runner, and this is normally where you put the electronics. So I needed a new place to put them. But with this design of this truck, there's actually still a good amount of space that happens from the back of the engine bay to where really the backside of the dash is. So what I decided I wanted to do was design myself up a firewall, just like you would see in a real one. And that sits here right on the backside of the engine. Now, rather than have the firewall attached to the body as it would in the real world, I decided that I wanted to have it attached to the chassis so that you can remove the body. I have the screws removed currently already, lift it right off, and the firewall stays in place. And then what I did with that is that I designed in a shelf or a tray on the back side of that firewall. It's about 50 millimeters deep, and that allows me to hold the ESC and my receiver. This is the new Hobbywing 10BL80 ESC, and I'm running their new Outrunner motor as well. I can't remember what KV I put in here. This is the 2200 KV. So 2200 KV Outrunner and the 10BL80 ESC. First time I'm running that combo, and I've only done bench testing, so I haven't really had any real experience with it, but so far it seems smooth. And then I've got a FlySky FS R7D receiver in there, which is a 6-channel receiver. And I've got it programmed to my FlySky G11P radio. This is kind of my go-to radio these days. I actually just got it back. I had sent it to 314 RC Crawlers to have this four-wheel steer control mod done. It puts this large pot down here on the grip where it's super comfy for your thumb to rest, and it's very nice. So he modified my existing radio to handle that. It takes the place of the VR2 dial or rotary position that's just above it. Just makes something that's a little bit more comfortable, and I like it. Looks pretty good. The G11P is kind of my go-to these days. It's an inexpensive radio, and it's the one that I just pick up the most. I decide to put the most rigs on it, even over my really expensive radios, even over my more expensive FlySky radios, like my Noble MB4 Plus. This is still my go-to, my preference in general. So that's what I decided to throw on here. I haven't added the additional servos yet for the control of the Vanquish VFD Twin. That will have to come next. And there's a couple of other things that I need to handle in that time as well. You can see this pigtail here for the battery. Now, I need a place to put the battery still. And I have a plan for that. When the body is on this vehicle, there's a fairly large cavity that sits right under here, underneath of this space behind the rear seats. And there's just nothing there. And that's the space that I'm going to utilize for my battery. Now I'm going to hard mount my body. It's going to screw right into place and it'll be fixed to the chassis itself. So that makes the battery more difficult to get to traditionally. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to redesign these parts back here to give myself a quick access to that area without having to remove the body or anything like that. And that I think will be not a simple project, but one that's simple enough to achieve just working out the styling and the design exactly how I want. I don't think that will be too bad, but it'll be super easy to access. Getting to back here, wildly easy. And I think that that's going to be a good layout for electronics, battery. Most of the weight, things like that are still going to be easily forward biased. I'm running pretty small batteries, similar to this one here, which is a 1300 milliamp 3-cell pack. These packs in a system like this are going to give me a good amount of runtime anyway, so that's going to be a perfect fit for something like this. I still need to do a little bit of work on the interior. I want to build floor pans to cover up and block off the rest of what we're seeing. The tray that I put behind the dash, it sits above the bottom of the dash. So if you're looking at a weird angle, you can't see anything, but I still want the motor, the transmission, the drive shaft, that to all be blocked off. So it just has a nice realistic looking floor that sits in there. And then I'll design up a center console and I'll integrate in the power switch from that 10BL80 that just kind of sits right there right now. So I'll integrate that so that it can be accessed without concern as far as, body on or off. I'll make some modifications to the seat pan to make sure that I don't have that interference when removing it. That's not so bad. So while it may not look like a ton of work has been done, in fact, I have made great progress. Having this bumper, the final version on there, I'm super excited. I think that is, I couldn't have came out better in as far as my vision goes. Personal preference on design or whatnot, not my problem. I think it looks great. I'm a big fan of how that worked out. Now, projects like this front bumper and the shock towers that I haven't finished yet, or you haven't seen finished yet, those will be available just like the builds for the sliders and the cage that I've already done before and the body armor that I've offered as well. All of these parts will be available. It's just going to be a matter of when I get those listings posted up and available, and I'm sure that I'll have a follow-up video with links to all of that before too long. But if you want to follow along on that stuff for easier access, there's also a Facebook group that I have as far as my build along projects and things like that. It's a good place to find info. I post everything up there and also covers other build along projects I've had in the past, like the Rockabilly and the Moon Buggy, things like that. So lots of really good builders in there as well if you're looking for resources on wanting to fabricate something on your own. So if you're looking for some more fab projects, again, front bumper, the front shock towers, those will be coming before too long. I'm also going to do a rear bumper that'll be styled similar to the Rock sliders. And I might do rear shock towers while I'm at it. Maybe I'll get that incorporated while I'm doing the rear, redesign of these panels. Maybe I'll design in the spare tire carrier into that, but we'll see. I don't know yet. Big ideas and big plans, but a lot of execution that still has to get done. And I have a lot of details left in general that are just like the simple stuff. I need to get like the detail hinges printed, the covers for the hinges there where the doors would be, the hood hinges. I got to finish out the front grille and either add lights or something there, whatever I plan to do. The radiator's still missing. A lot of big picture details as well. But I do hope to get this thing finished by like Christmas. I mean, it's coming soon, though. Honestly, that might not even be realistic at this point, but that doesn't matter because I've been having a blast with it. However, it is holding me back from some other projects that I need to get going on. So I need to just make some headway, get this thing done, and move on. But I can't help it. It's been too much fun, and I've just kept going. While we've got it here, let's throw it on the scale just to see what it weighs now that we've got that fabricated bumper set on there. I'm guessing we're going to be just over 8 pounds. 8 pounds, 2.2 ounces currently. As I mentioned, we're pretty much ready to run. Fabricated bumper. We've got a couple of other little fabricated pieces left to do, but hopefully we can keep this thing around 8.5 pounds when it's done. Again, probably going to be tight. I should stop adding things to this project. We do also have a pound of brass sitting on the front axle still. So, if I took that off, super reasonable, but it's also keeping my weight bias really good still. So our front weight bias just right at the front link mounts, or the front link position. Geez, actually, it's a little bit more forward than I even thought. Feeling pretty decent. Should still drive pretty well with this setup. We definitely have more details and more progress that's got to happen soon. But if you've been enjoying the project already, don't forget to like button, subscribe if you haven't. And thanks to the channel members who help support the channel a little bit extra. They get to see videos like this a couple of days in advance usually, and they get other additional behind the scenes video. And again, just help support the channel. If you're interested in that, there'll be a link down in the description where you can find more info on it. But I'm sure that there's some other things, some other opportunities that I'm missing on this vehicle. And if you guys have any suggestions on that, I'd love to hear them, because like I mentioned, it's already been a lot of fun. So why not just keep going just a little bit further? I love sharing all of the projects with you guys as well. There's been some awesome builds that have already popped up. Some guys that have knocked out cages and body armor, sliders, all that stuff already, and they've turned out fantastic. So again, if you want to share any of them that you have done yourself, don't forget to check out that Facebook group. It's a great place for that. Or you can also post them up on the YouTube community page for the channel. Love to see that stuff whenever you guys share it. But that is going to do it for this episode of the Project IJ. Not sure if you guys are enjoying the snowball effect that has happened as much as I am on this thing, but it makes me happy. And that's all that matters with the whole hobby. So as always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.